Now, certainly this BRICS summit is coming at quite a critical time when the Russia-Ukraine conflict is wreaking havoc on the global economy. So how do you think this will impact the tone and the content of this year's summit, and certainly the targets of the group as a whole?
Good day to you, and thank you for having me on your show. To answer your question directly, I don't think this will impact the content of the summit as directly as your question implies. First, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the BRICS group, and secondly, as this year's theme implies, the objectives and targets of the summit are many. Okay, however, they do touch broadly on the global economy, and in so doing, we'll have to countenance the negative impact of Russia's war in Ukraine on the global economy as well. So, for example, some of the items on the agenda which may underscore the effects of the war are a BRICS initiative on trade and investment for sustainable development, a BRICS initiative on enhancing cooperation and supply chains, as well as a BRICS strategy on food security cooperation, which reports shall be considered and adopted during this summit.
Well, on that note, what are some of the issues on the table you think will be significant? Because this year they say, as you said, fostering a quality partnership and also ushering in a new era for global development, especially in these times. What issues do you think will be significant?
Well, in my view, one of the silver linings that the Russian-Ukraine war offers the world is an opportunity to rethink and reform the international system, which was built on a racist logic of ontological and artificial differentiation between Europeans and non-Europeans, okay? So now that automatically excluded the majority of the world from benefiting from a global system of political and economic cooperation, which tended to and has continued to benefit the few over the majority. I mean, looking at the statistics you just give us about, the developing countries of the world contributing over 70% of economic growth in the last couple of years, right? So now, although Russia and China, by their membership of the United Nations Security Council, have been beneficiaries of this unequal international system, Africa, Latin America, and much of Asia, including India, who combined make up over 50% of the world's population and landmass, are excluded from the membership of such a critical power structure as the UNSC. So fostering a quality partnership between members and inviting other developing states and emerging economies to be part of this summit is critical. Now, other significant issues on the table in this regard include the reports on the BRICS Women's Business Alliance and the president of the new World Bank Development Report. And then also among the expected outcomes for the summit, a standalone BRICS high-level meeting on climate change, the adoption of an action plan for the implementation of the agreement between governments of the BRICS states on cooperation in the field of culture, as well as adoption of a BRICS digital economy partnership framework, because digitalization is no longer a Western phenomenon. As the Chinese premier said in May when he addressed the Council of Foreign Ministers of the BRICS nations, more than ever before, it has become important for emerging markets and developing states to strengthen solidarity and cooperation to build a global community of shared future for all of humankind, human race, not just the powerful few.
And it is interesting that you mentioned that, because the group is also expected to discuss the US dollar dominance globally, as well as the use of national currencies of BRICS member states going forward. And of course, they're also talking about an independent BRICS ratings agency going forward. Do you expect to see any major changes or movements on these particular topics?
Yes, these are areas I would expect Russia and China to push for, for BRICS to be more ambitious and assertive about. So I expect to see agreements as these issues benefit all of them in varying ways.
Right. Well, China has also proposed the expansion of the BRICS, while we're seeing countries like India seeming reluctant about that going forward. Do you have any expectations regarding this?
Well, this is where China especially has to walk the talk, of the spirit of openness, inclusivity, equality, solidarity, consensus, and mutually beneficial cooperation that defines, BRICS. So this summit will be the litmus test for whether the new governance and economic world order that, China and Russia of late talk about will be a replication of the existing order, or whether it will actually be different. So the onus shall also be on India, to move away from the real politic of the old order of national interest to a much more mutual or global interest orientation. So how the BRICS summit handles this particular issue, for me, will determine if we'll see a fundamental change in global leadership and governance, or if it will be a question of new wine in an old bottle. So essentially, I think that China's strategic goal is to use the BRICS to lead a new world order of global governance. And the BRICS has to expand to be meaningful in terms of its creed and increasing manifestation as a growing important force in the global stage. However, it will have to provide, and I'm talking of China now, will have to provide a kind of hegemonic leadership, if that is different, if it will have to sell as a hegemonic leader. It will have to give us a new kind of benevolent hegemony that is different from that of the United States, for example.